f of x is a quadratic function with f of 1 equals to 3 and f of negative 2 equals to 15. Its graph has y-intercept 0, 5. Find f of x. Well, you have to know these three different forms of quadratic functions, and you have to choose the form before you solve this question. So first is the vertex form. The next is the standard form. And the third is what I like to call as the x-intercept form. Now this AB has nothing to do with these.
Can you say the names again?
Vertex form, standard form, and this one doesn't have a name. I just call it x-intercept form because when you have x-intercepts, it's useful. Okay. All right. Now, you use the vertex form only when the vertex is given in the problem. It's not given, so that's out. Okay. And also, you use the x-intercept form if your x-intercepts are given, but it's not given, so that's out. So that just makes the standard form as the only choice. So we will have to use this to solve it. So let's try this. One thing I want to say before actually solving is, for linear equations, if it's the first order, mx plus b, the graph is a straight line. Now, if you have 2 points on the plane, how many lines cross those 2 points? Exactly 1, right? You can only have 1 line crossing 2 points, right? For quadratic equations, the graph is a parabola, and for parabolas, if you're given 3 points, that determines the graph. Okay, so you just need 3 points on the plane or 3 pieces of information to figure out the function exactly. Okay, since you're given one information, another information, and then the y-intercept being 0, 5, that's still another information. You have 3 information. That means you can find the function. Okay, and knowing that gives you some kind of confidence. Okay? It's good to have some confidence before you solve it. Right? Okay, now let's try to see what these mean. This is our f of x. What is f of 1? Well, you just have to know how to evaluate functions. That means you plug in 1 here, plug in 1 here. So it's a times 1 squared plus b times 1 plus c. So that's just a plus b plus c. Now, what is f1 equal to? It said it should be equal to 3. So we have a plus b plus c equals to 3. So that's one piece of information. Next, what is f of negative 2? F of negative 2 means you replace x by negative 2. Often, a lot of students make the mistake of forgetting to put the parentheses. If you don't put the parentheses, you're going to make a sign mistake. Okay, so make sure when you're plugging in something complicated into x, your parentheses are there. Okay, negative 2 squared is positive 4, so this is 4a. Negative 2 times b is negative 2b. Let me just write this as just minus 2b. And then plus c. What should this equal to? Well, f of negative 2 is given as 15, so we know that this is true. Okay, still, there's another one. Y-intercept is 5. That means when you have x equal to 0, the output of the function should be 5, right? So we have f of 0, which is a times 0 squared plus b times 0 plus c. That has to equal to 5. Now, among these 3, the easiest one should be this one, because 0, 0, that goes away. So what do you get? What's the conclusion you get from here?
C equals 5.
C equals to 5. Oh, that's nice, because once C is 5, I can plug that in here, I can plug it in here, and then that will give me a system of equations. So let's see what that gives us. So we have A plus B plus C is 5, so 5 equals to 3. That's what became of this. And this one, 4a minus 2b plus 5 is equal to 15. And since I used them, I can erase it. And all it remains is to just solve this system. When you solve a system of equations, it's good to know how many unknowns you have and how many equations you have. How many unknowns do you have? 2, A and B. How many equations do we have?
2.
Does that mean we can solve it? Yes. Yeah. So we solve it. How do you solve? Well, you solve one of the equations for one variable and plug it into the next one. That's how you solve it, right? So we take this. A is equal to, well, if you subtract 5, that's negative 2. Subtract B, that's negative B. So A is negative 2 minus B. Plug this thing into this A, and that's your next equation to solve. You have 4 times negative 2 minus B minus 2B plus 5 equals to 15. If you multiply, that's negative 8 minus 4b minus 2b. Let's subtract 5 both sides, so it's 10. Now add 8 to the other side, so that becomes 18. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6b, so this becomes negative 6b equals to positive 18. And then finally, when you divide both sides by negative 6, you get b equals to negative 3.
There's another way I think I did it.
How did you do it?
Like to figure out what numbers. So
Uh-huh.
I put like what's it called? A plus, you know how you have it like, where is that? Yeah, A plus B plus 5 equals 3, and then A minus 2B plus 5 equals 15. I times the top one, the whole thing by 2.
That's a wonderful way. Yeah.
And then you
Okay.
cancel
Yeah.
out the, yeah.
So this better method, which is actually quicker. Let me first finish this so I can show that it's the same method, same answer. Okay. So if I plug in negative 3 here, so that's negative 2 minus negative 3, so A is equal to 1. And therefore, the final answer is 1x squared minus 3x plus 5. So that's your final answer. That's your final answer. But let me go back to the suggestion I just received, which is just multiply the top by 2 times 2. And what's that? That's 2a plus 2b plus 10 equals to 6, right? And then 4a minus 2b plus 5 equals to 15. And you just simply add them. If you do that, 2a plus 4a is 6b. And what's 2b minus 2b? 0, right?
Yeah.
So the reason you want to multiply by 2 is so that they can be canceled. You just see that if you multiply by 2, then 2b and negative 2b can be canceled if you add. So that's a lot faster. You get plus 15 equals to 15 plus 6. Okay? But 15 cancels, and you have, sorry, this is 6a, right? And then you divide by 6, you get a equals to 1. And then once you plug that back in here and solve for b, you get b equals to negative 3. So you get the same answer much quickly. Okay. So this is a very good method.